You are now listening to the Building Her Dream podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with introverted women entrepreneurs who are building their dream lives and businesses on their own terms. Hosted by business operations strategist, author, and the founder of Building Her Dream, Shayla Burton. To learn more about this podcast and our magazine, visit www.buildingherdream.com. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Building Her Dream podcast. I'm your host and lifelong introvert, Shayla Burton, and I'm so excited to chat with today's guest. She is Jennah Lear, a brand strategist and the founder of Blue Louie Studio, all the way from Ohio. Hello, Jennah. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thank you for being here. I
Mhm.
always like to start off with the same question, kind of a fun one. So, if you could wake up tomorrow and have the perfect dream life, what would that look like for you?
Mm. Oh, geez. We were talking about this question. I feel like it's so simple, but it's such a big question.
It is.
So, um, I think it's like it kind of comes down to like a few things would change. First of all, I would, take a vacation and I'd be like, wake up and like I'm on my way to my beach house, right? I think that that's something that I get to build into my near future. Um, but I don't think a lot else would change. To be honest, I feel like I work pretty close to living in my purpose. And I probably, yeah, like I feel really great and I feel really grounded in that outside of the beach house, which gets to happen sometime soon. So that would probably be what comes with my dream life. Oh, and then out of debt, of course, because student loans are the worst. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Mm. So, where would this beach house be located?
You know, I'm glad you asked that because I'm actually not sure. I feel like
Okay.
in order to step into the things you want, you actually have to like put yourself in those experiences and those environments. And I feel like I just realized this now or was reminded of this now. So thank you for asking this question. I get to go house hunting in like some southern states and I get to really kind of play around with like what beaches and what coasts feel good. And
Yeah.
I think that that gets to be maybe a fun goal, travel goal over the next couple of years is find the place where I actually want to land with that beach house.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I don't know where I would want to live either. I'm in Wisconsin and it's okay, but not super exciting and the weather is not great in the winter, so I would like to go live somewhere warmer and but I don't know exactly where that would be either. And so I would
Mhm.
I would absolutely need to visit a few places to figure that out.
Yeah. What a fun research project too, right? Like, oh, I
Right?
have to go do research, twist my arm, I'll be at the beach. Like, so yes.
Exactly, exactly. Well, cool. Well, Jenna, for those who of us who may not know you, tell us a little bit about you and the work that you do.
Yeah, so hello everyone listening. My name is Jenna, obviously, and my love language is branding. That's what I do. I'm a brand strategist, and I'm on a big mission to help more women entrepreneurs really grow their own brand, a powerful brand at that. And I help my clients position themselves as the expert, and the whole point is so that you can consistently attract dreamy clients to grow your business and feel really aligned not only in, the clients that you're bringing in, but I think the opportunities and how your business is scaling. And so that's what I really do. I work with women entrepreneurs to help them build a bigger business through their brand, through a key marketing message, and really just feel good about the impact that they're creating in the world, in addition to making more income as well. So, yeah.
Hmm, love that. What inspired you to start a business in branding?
Yeah, so I would say I'm a graphic designer by trade. That was when I was in corporate and when I was at the Cube Farm, like that was what I was doing. I was in the marketing departments, advertising departments. And a lot of people who are in that field, when they daydream about, branching out and, owning their own schedule and doing the work they love, they usually go the route of creating their own agency. That was something that I never really wanted. I never really wanted to have my own agency, my own design agency. But I was always really, really captivated by, working with the brand at the company that I was at. Like, how do we maintain the quality of the brand? How does the brand come through in all of the materials that we create? Um, and what does that look like on a smaller scale as well, which, we can get into further if it's relevant, but it's like from a small business perspective, little old me, do I have a brand? Yes, you
Mm.
do. And there's an opportunity for big impact with it. And how do you go about growing that when you're not Nike, when you don't have $1 million, marketing budget? So,
Yeah.
so I think it was like a natural progression from being a graphic designer and being someone who was in marketing and advertising, but then also going out to build my business in this more like grassroots, smaller efforts, community driven, mission driven way. That's really kind of how I went about growing my business in the branding realm. So on the logistical side, I'll say real quick, I still do like the websites and logos and all of that. So of course that was like a key part of me beginning. But I branched out in creating programs and different courses and strategies to be able to help small business owners and entrepreneurs grow their brand. Because how do you go about it? It's kind of like the cloud, the brands
Yeah.
exist, but where is it? What is it? Where do you start? And so that's what I help women entrepreneurs do. I help them start, grow, and scale their brand.
Okay. And so you mentioned about creating a powerful brand. Like, can you clarify what a powerful brand looks like?
Yeah, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it smells
Yeah.
like, what it feels like. I think that there's a really cool opportunity as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, to embrace your brand as a way of like how you're building your business. And so, of course, there's like the way it looks in like your logo and the way it looks in your colors and the way it looks in your website, making sure all of that feels good and is cohesive and matches you. But there's also this other piece of, what does it feel like to get up every day and work in my purpose? What does it feel like and look like to get up every day and know that I'm leading a movement? And that my brand is a part of something bigger than me. It's not just a product or the service that I sell. And so that's really key when it comes to your brand and what it looks like and what it feels like in all of the senses, essentially, is how are you embodying it and how are you the leader of that brand movement? And
Mm.
this is really something that's key for those who want to grow a purpose-driven business that's for profit. You don't have to be nonprofit to be so purpose-driven. But it's really a beautiful thing to know that like you're really centered in what you're doing and what you have to offer in the world. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think that gives us a lot to think about because a lot of us who are not in the branding industry, when we think of a brand, we just think of a logo and some colors and
Sure.
nothing else. And that's just a small part of branding.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, so how would I or how do you measure success when it comes to branding? Like, how do I know if I have a powerful brand?
Yeah. Oh, I say there's two markers here. I mean, the first one is going to be like, do people know you? Are
Mm.
you known as the go-to expert in the rooms that you're not even in? Um, uh, what is that referral pipeline for you? And kind of
Mhm.
like those more outside of you markers that tell you your brand's working, like
Yeah.
it's out there, people know it. But I think there's a lot of benefit, and it's not talked about enough or it's underestimated about the powerful piece of your brand that comes back to the internal side of it, right?
Mhm.
You'll know it's powerful when you feel really, really good and grounded in when someone simply asks you, what do you do? So being able to show up and share your message with confidence, that is one of the most powerful pieces of growing a brand as a small business owner that you could be really proud of. And I think at the end of the day, when you're not struggling to find the words or you're not struggling to figure out what is it that I actually do or what I offer, and you really have that clarity and that confidence in it, that's when you know you've really hit the stride of growing a powerful brand for yourself first and foremost, because you're the leader, you get to go first. But then also that empowers you to be able to step out and unapologetically share what you're up to in the world, even when you get all the no's or you get the not right nows or you get the you're too expensive or every other objection that could come with, growing a business and selling. You can stand really firm and like, nope, I believe in what I'm up to. I believe in what I'm doing. And it's really cool when people start to recognize, oh yeah, like I've heard of you, or oh yeah, like I saw you at this conference, or I saw you on this interview or this blog post. Again, some of those outside markers, but they also feel really good for you because all the work you've put in is starting to like pay off, right? So
Right.
fruits of labor, if you will. So that's what I would say.
Okay, that's very good. Jenna, it sounds like you do just amazing work in your industry. I know branding is an area that many introverts may struggle with, but you yourself are an introvert as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I was wondering, when did you first realize that you were an introvert, or maybe when did you even hear that term?
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because as much as I step out on stage and as much as I'm out there and like in the marketing world, people are surprised when I say like I'm actually an introvert. And I think that it's one of those things where you start to look at how you preserve your energy and what it
Mm.
actually means to be introverted with how you operate and how you show up and how you actually like fill your cup back up.
Mhm.
And I think I noticed that probably back in high school is maybe when I first heard the term, which
Okay.
was many, many years ago. Um, and I really, I really was humbled by understanding what being an introvert is at that time because I wasn't someone who had, like a friend everywhere I went. And I wasn't someone who was a part of like every club or every social,
Yeah.
opportunity and all of that. And I think sometimes when you're young and even over into adulthood, especially into business too, you start to think, well, am I not playing to my full potential? Or is there something wrong with me? Or maybe I am awkward or weird, and people won't like me as a result. But actually knowing like, no, you're just built a little different, or, you're built like this, and this is how, this person may operate as a result. It gives you some clarity and some peace in that resolve. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That clarity was definitely helpful. And I wish I would have knew about being an introvert like when I was younger, because I think that would have helped me to realize, yeah, I'm not weird. I'm just have these specific personality traits that maybe other people around me don't have and that I'm not
Yeah.
seeing. So I feel like the outsider, but I'm normal. So
Yes.
mhm,
Yes.
yeah, it would have been helpful to know that at a younger age. But I think I didn't hear about that term until maybe I was like in college or something.
Mhm.
And then I was just talking to someone else yesterday about the Myers-Briggs
Yeah.
assessment, and so that's really where I got more information about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those. I think personality assessments are such a good way to really continue to try to understand yourself. I think if you've got
Mhm.
self-awareness, the more self-aware you are, the more powerful you can show up, regardless
Yeah.
of what that looks like for your personality type. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I love that.
Mhm. Yeah. Very cool. Um, so did your family, like, how did your family perceive your introverted nature, or did maybe it didn't even come up in your family?
Um, I don't think it came up in family conversations, to be honest. I think it was actually probably more toward in high school in terms of like hearing the term college and then definitely getting into
Mm,
business. That's really where I started to do more, self-development, self-awareness, and self-digging around like, okay,
okay.
what's my personality and what's happening here, right? Um, I think actually my family might be introverts themselves, so maybe that's why,
Okay.
like, we're surrounded by similar personality types.
Yeah.
Um, and it also like I don't think there was ever a worry from a social perspective because I was in all the sports.
Oh,
So
okay.
had I not had that, there probably would have been some conversations about like, how are you putting yourself out there, Jennah, and all of those type of things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. I don't think I asked, how long have you been in business now?
Yeah, so I think it's around 7 years. 2017 is when I officially
Oh,
declared, and then, of course, was working a few years before that to really kind of figure out like where I was going to go with this and what this kind of idea was.
yeah.
But I went full time at the end of 2018. So
Nice.
I've been chipping away at it for quite some time here.
Very cool. I started my business, my first business in July 2017.
Nice.
And then I went full time in 2019. And I wasn't ready to go full time. It was just, I got tired of working for someone else and said, let me just see what happens. So,
I love that. Congratulations.
thank
Congratulations.
you.
Mine was
Yeah.
not pre-planned either. Mine was just like
Mm,
a circumstantial thing. But it was also like I had been asking for so long, like I just want to go full time, God. Like what has to
yeah.
happen, now I know. Always be careful what you ask for because you're gonna get it. At some point, you're gonna get it.
Right. Right. But that's awesome. 7 years in business and is great because a lot of people don't make it, past the first
Yeah.
year. So, what were some challenges that you have faced in your business so far?
All of them.
Same.
I think that this is not for the faint of heart, and so I commend anyone that just has enough gumption to just even go after, a
Yeah.
bigger vision and working for yourself and all the beautiful things that can come with all the hardship too. But I would say, I think one of the biggest challenges per the topic that we're talking about, being introverted, is putting myself out there. So that actually is really, relevant for me. And I think one of the things that started to shift that, and there's a lot of things that happened, before, after, in between, but was when I hired my second business coach, when I really was like, okay, I want to scale to six figures. I don't know how to fast track this. I need to get someone in my corner. And so I hired my business coach. And it was through a lot of like mindset shifts and trainings with her that I realized, okay, I am on a mission and I get to either be curious or committed to that mission. You get to choose. And I chose to be committed to the mission of really growing and scaling my business and really being able to step out and make a bigger impact. And so, one of the biggest challenges was continuing to just show up consistently, put myself out there, step in front of rooms where I know no one, share who I am, what I do, and just be really visible. And know that like anxiety and a lot of like uncomfortability came with all of that. But I always came back to I'm on a mission and my mission is bigger than my fear right now. And so, just a quick side story around that is, I would create these women entrepreneur meetup groups in Cleveland. I actually started growing my business online first, and then I focused in on growing my local market a couple years later. And it was in creating those networking groups. They just happened to catch fire. I had maybe 400, 500 clicks and shares. And then I'd have 75 people at every event. And then, it was
Oh,
really cool what was happening. And also, like, you can only imagine as an introvert what it's like to stand in front of 75 strangers every month and say, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I'm up to. Here's what
yeah.
we're here for. But I did it, and I'm really proud of like the past version of myself for that. But it was a really big challenge because of, that's not my natural way of being, is to
Yeah.
be so out there and so in connection and so uncomfortable. And but it's okay, it worked out. So yeah, that was one of the biggest challenges, was visibility, showing up.
That's awesome. And I know that's a challenge for a lot of us, definitely a challenge for me. And so one thing that I did was just similar. So I started hosting virtual networking events in May. I do two a month, and
Awesome.
I'm having so much fun doing that. I also want to do it locally. I might have some questions for you
Yeah.
offline. Because yeah, I definitely need to increase my visibility, but it's just attending other people's networking events. That's a struggle because it's not catered to introverts, of course, or me.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, if I push myself to show up, I still don't get like the real value because now I have so much anxiety while I'm there.
Hmm.
Um, but I think if I hosted my own and I knew exactly what was going to happen because I planned it, that would probably work better for me.
Yeah. Everything you just said. Yes.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so that was a challenge. What's something that you are really proud of, that you've done with your business so far?
Um, that also is like so much and everything, same response on the other side of the coin too. I feel like in addition to just to continue to take myself on and challenge myself and be outside of my comfort zone, I always say like I've gotten comfortable with living uncomfortable because
Mhm.
this journey is a growth journey, right? And it's a
Yeah.
long game. But I've accomplished a lot of really cool things, and I've had so much fun along the way. To your point, being able to, go to a retreat where, I may not know everyone there, but by the end of it, I've got, like 10 new friends. And I think that that's something I'm really proud of, is just continuing to, risk, take myself on, and, operate outside of my comfort zone, all so that I can not only grow a really beautiful business and make some big impact, but also I think that something that we're learning, not just as introverts, but as women on this journey, is, how can we be the best version of ourselves? And so
Mhm.
I think I'm really proud of my way of being and who I've chosen to be, because I am not the same person I was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, there's so much, and there's a natural growth that happens for people through life, but entrepreneurship is like growth on speed. Like there's just so much you learn about yourself and breakthroughs and that happen, and self-awareness, like we talked about. And also, I think that we're way more capable than we give ourselves credit for. And so, just, taking yourself on and proving to yourself what you're capable of doing, and also hitting the big goals that you never thought were possible. That's all of it. I know that's generalities, but like there's so much beautiful stuff within those particular things that I'm really proud of.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned, being comfortable with being uncomfortable and, going to these events when you don't know people there. Like, how do you, I guess, get yourself to go? Like, what do you do to prepare?
Yeah,
I feel like for me, I would have to talk myself into it a
I
lot.
do. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I'm sure there's people who are listening to this that are like, yeah, the introverts are like, they're shaking their heads right now. And to your earlier point, I think that's why I've chosen events as one of the ways to grow my business. Because when I host them, I do come with a little bit of a different personality and a different layer to me. So going to other people's events, I do have to talk myself into it, like you said. And So I'm really choosy about where I put my energy and my time when I choose to go to other people's events. Love it
Mhm.
when it's someone that I know that's hosting it because I want to support them as well in their business and
Yeah.
what they're up to. But also it's just kind of like a part of the role. It comes with the role, right? As a business owner, you get to go to, events and network and meet people. So I think that there's maybe two things that come to mind if you're looking for practical strategies, any of my fellow introverts. It's this piece around you know, uh I think some like mindset shifts of like, okay, it's not a big scary thing. You're just, unattached from trying to get anything out of it. I'm not going there to get a client. I'm not going there to, do XYZ. I'm just going to be with other really cool people. So it's kind of like hooking into like whatever that thing is that's going to support you around what are you going for? For me,
Mhm.
it's like making sure I'm completely unattaching from any results and I'm just showing up and like being open to the magic. And then the second thing that I always kind of joke around, but it's kind of true, is like I've got a social button. So like I use this like kind of again, maybe a mindset trick, maybe, probably something a little more deeper in terms of like psychological, but I push the social button. And the social button, like a social battery, has only so much time. And so I allow myself to really be social for that amount of time. And then I treat myself like a little kid or like a dog. I'm like, afterwards, you can get a treat. Like
Mm,
if you
okay.
feel like you need a treat afterwards, you can get a treat. So it's kind of like the risk and the reward, if you will. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I go about it.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. So when you're or after you attend these events, I know when I attend events, I'm always like drained after,
Very.
like my energy is gone. Um, what do you do to like recharge and maintain your energy levels?
Yeah. So specifically after events, me too. I'm like my battery's done. Like
Hmm.
the buttons flipped off. So if it's other people's events and there are shorter events, like not like a conference or anything, but maybe like a 2-hour event or something like that, I'll make sure I don't have any meetings afterwards. And really keep my schedule completely clear or making sure there's space somewhere before the next
Yeah.
thing if I choose to put something on the calendar after that. So typically in that time I'll like my one of my favorite things that I've really loved is like getting outside and reading. So a lot of times I'm
Mm.
at the park reading, and that refills my energy. It gives me my solitude that I need, in my recharging station, if you will. But I think space is the key there. And then, when I host my own events, it's the same, but afterwards, I usually have my business partner that I partner with in a different program. She's learned this the hard way. She's an extrovert. And she tried to, talk to me about like scheduling multiple things. And I said, listen, I am going to
Mm.
be done the next day. So we hosted
Yeah.
a conference back in April, and the second day I was just out of it. And that is how I am. And I give my all at conferences and the events that I host. And I love it. I think that's how I'm able to be so upbeat and on point and like, hey, what's going on? And maybe a different version of me, if you
Yeah.
will. But behind the scenes the next day, we call it a drool on the couch day. So it is a pre-scheduled day to just blob so that I
Yeah.
can recharge and really reflect on all the magic that happened and just take that downtime that I think all introverts really need. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just telling someone else that the day after, I definitely need that day to be clear because I'm so drained. Like, even when I do my virtual networking events, I love doing them. I have fun. I'm excited when I see a bunch of people show up.
Yeah.
But and even when I go to bed at a reasonable time, I wake up the next day and I can just feel my body and my mind, and I'm just really, really drained as if I, worked in construction the day before or something. So I always have to make sure that the day after I don't have any appointments or don't have to do any like heavy thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Mhm.
part. I could totally agree.
Yeah. Do you think being or can you think of any other ways that like being an introvert affects your business, even maybe positively?
Yeah, I think from a positive standpoint, much to, what I previously shared, I think there are opportunities for us to kind of come outside of our shell, even though it's not naturally a part of our, personality.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it's also a really cool thing when you can prove to yourself that, um, and here's the thing, and I'll side note and I'll say we talked about this prior to the interview, and I agree. I think extroverts do very well in business. And so there's this piece where it's like, well, could I even do that? Like, can I be successful at that as an introvert, as someone whose personality is a little more closed off or behind the scenes, or I need more solitude? And so I think that there's a positive impact on growing a business as an introvert because it is, inviting you. I won't say pushing you, I'll say inviting you to really explore some other ways to get yourself outside of your shell, meet new people, and put yourself in a position to also be really proud of yourself for, being successful in what I think is a much easier lane as an extrovert, to put yourself out there continuously and be in connection continuously. So that's what I
Hmm.
would say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs, we work a lot. Some of us 24/7 in our businesses, which is something that I don't promote. I like to definitely rest, and I feel like, taking a break away from your business is really beneficial for you personally, but also your business. Um, what do you like to do for fun? Like besides work, what do you do for fun, like on your days off?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I always feel like when business isn't working, like you're doing all of the things, you naturally want to work harder or more because you're like, I'm gonna force it to click into work. And
Right.
that's my flag to say, okay, it's time to take a break. That's my alert to like say, okay, it's time to take a break. So on days off, um, I like to, honestly, I think it's like really kind of get into a routine that supports me on my days off. So I don't have to worry about being on. So I like to sleep in, and then I like to, get some gym time in, and I like to make sure I'm really nourishing something, whether it's the park and reading or a mani-pedi, or, maybe I'll take myself to the movies. Just really something that's it's outside of my house because I work from home.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here, cabin fever. And then something that mostly includes not being on my phone.
Mm.
Because that is, I'm finding like, even though I like to be in connection with my clients and, with what's going on and the things I'm creating, just having a break is really an underrated thing for for entrepreneurs. Um, so it's festival season. Well, it's the end of festival season, but I love a good festival. So this summer I was out at, as many festivals as I could get to.
Mhm.
And really just taking advantage of those type of things, local events and happenings. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, summertime is great for festivals. I didn't really take advantage this summer because I had some other things going on, but yeah, definitely got to get outside, get away from your working environment and yeah, kind of like what you mentioned, like people don't realize that taking a break and resting actually helps you to be more productive.
Yes.
Because if you're just working, you are not actually working at like 100% because you're so tired, drained. And so if you just take a break and relax and give your brain some time to recharge and just rest. And when you come back to work, you'll be stronger, you'll be more creative, you'll work a bit faster, be more productive. But people don't realize that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I think it's because of the society we live in, especially if you come from corporate into entrepreneurship, you are trained to just never stop working. And so you're like,
Mhm.
great, entrepreneurship. I don't stop working anyway, so at least I'll be able to work for myself.
Yeah.
But you learn along this journey about self-care
Hmm.
or else, right? You burn out or
Yes.
you have health problems and all that. Which is very real. But
Mhm.
if you adhere to your body and you really listen, you learn that like you said, the breaks are actually what's going to propel you forward quicker. So 100%.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Jenna, it has been really great chatting with you. Before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to, if there's anything else you want to share to our listeners, you can do that. And then also just let us know where we can find more information about you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love a good quote, but I didn't have one queued up. So
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
I think at the end of the day, if I could share something, one last thing with everyone, it's I always use like, are you having fun is my check-in. And as the CEO and the owner of your business, you get to choose to have fun. This can be fun. As much as it's hard and all the things, it can be fun too. So use am I having fun as your marker, even as an introvert. And if you're not, then you get to shift some things. I think that's a really good thing that I've learned that I'd love to share. So yeah, so outside of that, I would love to connect. Despite being an introvert, I do love to be in connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you can find all my socials on my website. So I'll just share my website. It's Blue Louie, blue like the color, BLUELOUI dot or studio.com, bluelouiestudio.com. And I'm on Instagram. I'm always on Facebook. I think Facebook is how you and I connected. So I love that platform still. And last but not least, I created a quiz for those who are like, okay, branding is something I want to focus on for my business, but I don't know how to, do it or where do I start? I got you covered. So if you go to bluelouiestudio.com, you can also take my brand glow up quiz. It's free. And you can have some fun with it. I always say everyone wants to know what kind of Disney princess they are. So go take the quiz and that can give you some feedback on maybe where to start where to continue for the next level of your brand. And last but not least, just thank you for having me.
Yes, that's awesome. So we'll definitely check out your website and your social media. And again, Jenna, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're so welcome.
All right. And thank you to our audience for listening. This has been another episode of the Building Her Dream podcast. If you've enjoyed it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, leave us a review, and stay up to date with what we're doing by visiting www.buildingherdream.com.